Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the third episode of Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dittenberg, and today we have another Netflix review to talk about today. And that review is the man right behind me, Terry Crews in John Henry. Before I start, this is a brand new YouTube channel, Max Talks Movies. Please subscribe, like, comment on the movie and on this channel itself. Please subscribe to me. There'll be more reviews, probably 2-3 videos a week I'm planning on putting on this YouTube platform. So now let's dive into John Henry. Ex-gang member John Henry is a quiet man with a violent past. When two immigrant kids on the run from his former South Los Angeles gang leader stumble into his life, John is forced to reconcile with his past in order to try and give them a future. The film is led by, as the man behind me, Terry Crews, as John Henry, and the villain here is Ludacris. Ludacris is in here as well. This movie just kind of fell in my lap. I was kind of looking for something on Netflix to watch at the moment. I have my Lovebirds already review up on this channel and my Wrong Miss review, so I was waiting for a new Netflix movie this week, and I found out there was none. So I was searching if I missed anything. And based on the other reviewers that I watch and Netflix itself, I found John Henry. And I was like, wow, an action movie with Terry Crews and Ludacris that no one's talking about. I was like, why not just get into it? This movie was actually theatrically released in late January, and it did not do well, so it got moved to Netflix. Just dropped on there, no promotion for it. So I was actually pretty excited to see what this movie is. Now, I do not know the backstory of John Henry. Now, there's a lot of past material that's been used on John Henry that I have no idea. So I came in here blank on, fresh, blind here on John Henry. Before I go into my negative, this is a really bad movie. I do want to talk about the fact that I really don't want to crap on this movie a little too much here, okay? The fact that Terry Crews and Ludacris were executive producers, and the director also did the score and made original music for this movie. It feels like it was a real passion project of the people making this movie. So I hate when I see the amount of passion that it seems like this movie had going for itself put into this film. But what can you do? So now I guess the positive, is two leads. Terry Crews is okay in this movie. Him and Ludacris are fine. Ludacris is kind of in the wrong movie. He's written really annoyingly, especially in the last scene he is in. Terry Crews has a weird, deeper voice in this movie, and for me, it doesn't really work. And there's one scene in a supermarket that really doesn't work as well. But in general, those performances don't destroy the movie. This movie is just a bad movie in general. This is also a non-spoiler review, so if you haven't seen John Henry, well, I'm not going to recommend this movie for you, but still, stick around to hear my part of the review. This film does not have a good plot whatsoever. We got to go back and forth of Terry Crews' early upbringing with his dad, who actually gives probably the best performance in the movie. Ken Foree is really good in the movie. We go back and forth with his past with his dad and adding on to his cousin. And we later found out that his cousin, who now is the villain of this movie, is Ludacris. Ludacris is not, and both these actors not de-aged, they're just played by younger actors. The back and forth needed to happen so you get background on the relationship between Terry Crews and Ludacris in this movie. This movie does not have enough action. There's really like a scene, the second scene of the movie gets you into the action. I thought that should have been the opening scene. The first scene is really boring, and it didn't get me excited to see Terry Crews as John Henry. And once I saw the first scene, I was like, wow, this is just not going to go well. But I wanted this to be at least an average movie with some action. The movie is not an action movie, as you may think. There is a lot of dialogue going on in the movie, and it really brings it down. The movie needs to rely on its action. The movie is only an hour and a half, and when you already have most of the movie being just dialogue, that doesn't really leave you with much action. Terry Crews with the hammer doesn't really happen until the final 15-10 minutes of the movie. And that was really disappointing because I knew that was the poster. I was really pumped. Terry Crews with the hammer doing some damage. But he doesn't really do anything until the third act. We also get this plot of him just not liking guns because of this accident. I'm not going to spoil anything. There was an accident in his upbringing that is the reason why he does not like guns. And for me, that gets thrown completely out the door because instead of just using a gun, he uses a hammer. It's really just stupid. As well, they bring on the gang, as we were talking about the gang wars. Basically, he brings on two people. I'm not going to talk about who they are because once the first scene happens, I had no idea who was going to go with Terry Crews. She gives a solid performance. But again, she's only speaking Spanish. Her stepbrother as well is fine in the movie. That storyline gets really shockingly mistaken as well. And there are some deaths in this movie. Yes, it's only an hour and a half, and there are some big character deaths throughout this movie, and they just don't hit hard. And also, the movie is rated R, and the action scenes when they are happening, they're not violent. And when I want to see a rated R action movie, I want to see some violence. And there really isn't other violence other than just shooting a guy in the chest. Really disappointing because especially Ludacris's character, who is the cousin of Terry Crews, who is the big bad of the movie, he does a lot of bad stuff, especially with a torch. And he really, really doesn't get to show off what he's doing to us. And that was a huge misfire because I knew it was art. I was expecting that violence, and especially when you need to hate the villain because he's doing these bad things, you don't actually see what he's doing. He keeps fading to black every time he's about to do something. And that is not Ludacris's fault, which I was trying to allude to earlier. While he's just very poorly written. Terry Crews has a weird relationship with this person who he knew in high school. They get two scenes together, and they feel so out of place, and it halts the storyline as well. But also the movie, I don't know if they think that John Henry, again, is a superhero or anything, but for me, it just completely, I couldn't take this movie seriously. The CGI was not very good, especially on Ludacris's character, who has a big steel thing on his face. And the movie in general just doesn't work. I really wanted to enjoy this movie, but the movie has so much dialogue, and there is way too much going on in a movie that has a runtime of 91 minutes. I mean, this is a vintage Netflix movie, especially during this time, a 90-minute movie, just like The Lovebirds, that gives you some action and supposed to be giving you some heart and emotion. The movie, again, isn't going for the comedy, it's just going for the thrilling action, and there isn't enough action. The third act doesn't feel fulfilled because also Ludacris is not on screen enough. He gets like 4 scenes maybe, and he's not on screen enough to make you really care about Terry Crews going after him in the third act. And it just fell flat. So overall, I gave this film a 0.5 star out of 5 stars. I was really disappointed on this movie. It really fell flat. I give it a 14%. I really can't go higher, and I really respect the filmmakers themselves, though. But also before I close out this review, I also want to say about the movies that they feature a lot of original songs and a lot of original score, and it does not work. At points, the music is so loud, you can't hear our characters' dialogue. And the whole point of this movie, more than the action, is the dialogue. So if you can't hear the dialogue, what's the point? And that was my problem. I was very annoyed watching some of the music being playing over, especially Ludacris's character. It got so annoying. And for me, it just took me out of the movie. So if you are new to the channel, I want you to subscribe. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to talk to you where you can find me on social media. It will be in the description below, but if you don't read that, here we go. On Twitter, you can find me at Dinnenberg Max, one word. The capital D in Dinnenberg is capitalized. On Instagram and Letterboxd, you can find me at Max Dinnenberg. Don't know what Letterboxd is. It's where I get to write my reviews and rank them on my list. John Henry, for me, falls as my 3rd worst movie of the year on both Netflix and overall of 2020. My 31st movie of the year and my 20th on Netflix. So if it's falling that flat for me, I think it's been a rough year of movies, and it continues here with John Henry. So if you want to find my reviews, find all my rankings of all my franchises, they're all up there. Also, my next video, because I won't be having a review until next Friday, later on in the next week, you'll have a video up on this channel, and it is about my ranking of every May movie that I saw this year. This month, in the month of May, I'm going to rank all the movies I saw this month. It's a really fun, my first list on this channel. Normally, this is just a review channel, but my next will be a ranking. I'll do each month. When we get to the end of the month, I'll give you my review of all the movies I saw in the month of May. Popping up around here on my two things here will be the two videos I've already done on this YouTube channel. I've already done two Netflix movies, The Wrong Missing, which starred David Spade, and The Lovebirds, which starred Kumail Nanjiani and Issa Rae. If you have seen those movies or haven't, and you want to check out my non-spoiler reviews of those two movies, those will pop up next to my heads here on my video. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. We need to get this content out there in the YouTube sphere. Also, comment down below. Have you seen John Henry? Do you agree with my points? Non-spoiler fashion. If you haven't seen John Henry, are you excited to see John Henry? Or now have I reduced your chances of seeing John Henry? I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on the third episode of Max Talks